Hello Internet, Yuk here. God damn. A couple of days ago, I submitted a post to Reddit, the game dev Reddit, and I wrote an article about my well-being. So the article was pretty much about what it feels like to be an indie game dev from, well, my perspective. And that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. So, oh, that didn't work. So I want to talk to you about what I wrote, how I felt, and the answers that I got, and what has changed since then. So I did write about like everything that has to do with me personally, kind of like the stuff that I'm talking about in these videos. So I will. It's hard to look at the camera when you have your face in front of you. So first off, I wrote a bit about myself, like my short story, how I got into game development and what I've been doing and how long I've been doing this and things like that. And after that, I wrote about how I changed from doing this as a hobby into doing this full time with together with my girlfriend Jennifer. And I did bring up everything that is hard, like everything that is stressful and what I stress about, why I do it, and how it makes me feel and stuff like that. And like the base of it is pretty much I constantly feel that I'm not getting anywhere, and that is not true. I mean, I am getting anywhere. I am getting somewhere, but at the same time, it's hard to see your progression when you're still working on the same project and it's still not released, and you still haven't figured out a way to bring in some revenue and things like that, and that is kind of stressful. And I also mentioned like my sleep cycle. So I always stay up late. Normally I go to sleep at 4 in the evening or morning, depending on how you want to describe it. And sometimes I fall asleep kind of within like 5 minutes or something like that. But most of the time I spend at least half an hour, sometimes up to 2 hours just stressing about the game, just thinking about stuff that I know that I shouldn't be thinking about, and like having trouble sleeping because there's so much going on in my head that is stressful. And I did mention that every day it feels like I'm one step away from fetal position, and I mean, it's not always true, but sometimes I feel like that, and sometimes it feels really hard. Just, well, why am I doing this in the first place? And on my good days, I know exactly why. I know exactly why I'm doing this, but this is on a really bad day when everything feels like it's going to turn to shit. And a big thing right now is the economy thing. I mean, we do have a stable economy at home, so money is not a problem. I mean, we do have a tight budget and all that stuff, but it's stressful not bringing any money to the table. And people around us have their own opinion, and I'm not 100% sure of their opinion. So then you start making up your own answer for their question, like what do they really think? I think they think like this, and that is not very healthy, and it's not a really good way to do that, because, well, you will always find a really bad opinion and put it on top of them that did not make sense. But I mean, just since you don't know, so don't guess. And if you really want to know, just ask them. But since you don't really do that, you kind of just guess what they're thinking, and I don't like the answer that I come up with. And I did talk about this earlier as well, but I wrote also that I'm telling myself that this year, like the first year, will be the worst. It will be the most stressful because I don't have a previous revenue stream. And once I have that, I can start working on new games and kind of bring in some money while still working and things like that. So that will sort it out. And I got a couple of answers. I got quite a lot of answers, and I enjoyed pretty much all of them. There wasn't any like troll answers. They're just loving people sharing their stuff and their thoughts, and it was super helpful. So I've selected a couple of them that I just wanted to mention, and people are sharing their similar story. And Cornell was working for 12 years on his games, and probably a couple of different games, I think. But he is giving some tips and hints and what he thinks about like my situation and what he did in a similar situation, and that was very helpful. And people in general think that I shouldn't be doing this full time until I have a revenue stream. So I should have a full-time job and then have the revenue stream by the side. Like, crap, I'll do that again. They think that I should have a full-time job working on my game on the side, and when the game is ready and thus bring money to the table, that's when you transition into a full-time indie game developer. And that's what I've been doing for the last 7 years. So I've been doing that. But I also realized that while I do that, it's so much harder for me to actually get the hours that I want. And if you're working as a programmer for 8 hours a day, you're kind of tired of programming for another, like when you get back home. So it's hard getting home and then continuing programming because you're exhausted mentally, because programming is draining your energy. And I agree. I mean, this is kind of a risky move, and we knew that from the start. That's why we talked about it so much. We were talking about this as an alternative to working full time and making a game on the side and things like that. And since I've been doing it, I know that it is possible. I mean, that's how you usually do it, and that's probably what you should be doing. But it didn't really work out for me, so I wanted to try something new, something that I didn't already try, and that's why we went with this approach instead. So I agree with the people, but at the same time, I've already done that for a couple of years, and it doesn't really work all that well for me right now. But that's the most common thing. And the other thing that people comment is pretty much that you shouldn't be focusing this much on the success or failure of the game. Just make the game and see what happens. If it fails, it fails. And if it's successful, it's successful. Great, good enough. Good job, man. But instead of just putting all the eggs in the same basket and relying on this being a success, you should, take a step back and just enjoy the ride instead. And that's the thing that I've been doing wrong here, because I've realized that I stress about the game, and when I stress about the game, for some reason or the other, it comes down to money. So will this game generate any money? And if it does, what do I do? If it doesn't, what do I do? And that's something I've been thinking about a lot, just the feedback that I got about this topic, where I need to change my view on my own game. Like, why am I doing this, and what is my mental approach to developing this game. And this is what I've been doing wrong, I think, since it's so mentally exhausting for me to work on this game, and since I stress that much about it, that's why I kind of decided to, well, I need to do something about this, and I need to change this specific part of my game development process, because this doesn't work for me. So I need to change my view, my approach, and I need to find a way to be more healthy about my game development. So, as in, if this game fails, well, just make a new one, or fix it, solve it, find a solution. It doesn't have to be finding a solution as in make the game sell, but rather just make it work in some way or another. Just find another way to make money, or solve it in some other way, and don't rely on this game being a success. That's pretty much it. And that's the hardest part. So people have been sending a couple of links, and like just a sample of or just a few links. Just here's a video. Here's a video about what you should be doing. Here's a talk from GDC, and here's just some inspiration and things like that. I think it was over here. In the middle here, there's this guy is talking about Jocko Willink and his video about failing, and this mental approach is exactly what I'm talking about. Like having a personal approach that is healthy for you. Like, did the game fail? Good. Now you have more time to make a better game, or now you have more time making sure that you're better next time, and get a better result for the next time, and things like that. So I've been watching his video. I really recommend it, and I've also been starting listening to his podcasts. He's doing a shit ton of podcasts where he's talking about, well, just mental health and personal growth and things like that. And I think it's really awesome. So you should check that out. Jocko Willink. I'm not sure if I can highlight it, but well, just Jocko Willink in the middle of the screen. Hopefully you can read it. Otherwise, I'll try to add the link as well in the description. But other than that, there's just a lot of great tips, and I think this post actually helped me get better. So just by writing this text and getting the feedback, I was actually starting feeling better. So I did have a better night's sleep the night when I wrote this, and I felt a lot better. And I think that as long as you just have a healthy approach to your game development, you can do this. And that's kind of what I'm aiming for. I can also see that I should finish the Vandred series. I have a couple of episodes left on the second season. Should do that. And well, that's kind of the topic of this video. Not Vandred, but the stress and what I did and how I got the feedback and what the feedback actually was and stuff. But I could just scroll this entire day. I can scroll this the entire day. So I'll just end the video. And thanks for watching, and hopefully I will see you again next time. Goodbye.